Hey everyone, my name is Finance CJ, and I'm here to talk about student loans, personal finance, and even some investing. A little bit about me: I'm a 23-year-old college graduate. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Science, and I recently this year took an interest in personal finance and investing. Now, throughout this year, it's been a crazy year, but it was the perfect one for me to get my finances on track. With everything being on lockdown, I was able to break out the books and really take a look at where my spending was going. And I realized that a lot of my money was going to food, which when we were on a lockdown, I was eating at home a lot more and I saw a lot more in my bank account. So, what I made a point to do was to pay off all my debts, or at least try to start the process. I paid off my 2 credit cards and I'm currently working on my student loan. My student loan is about $25,000. Now, that's from 3.5 years of college where I had a $12,000 scholarship a year, and I ended up with $25,000 in debt, and I've been working endlessly to pay off that debt. So I'm going to take you through and show you how much I owe now and how I've been making those payments and how it's broken down. Alright, so let's just pull up the app here. Perfect. Now, as you can see, I still owe $20,000, $949.52. Now I'm going to show you how I've been paying. Now, as you can see, December 3rd, $269.59, that was the minimum. This is a big no-no because it's really just paying more to the interest rather than the principal, so I'm making very little progress. As you can see, I continued to pay about the minimum for a couple months, and then I paid once above the minimum in February, and that was when my loan went into forbearance due to the CARES Act, and then more recently the executive order to extend the student loan forbearance to the end of the year. Once I paid off all my credit card debt, which was high interest debt that was not in forbearance and I was still collecting interest on, I went back to my student loan, and as you can see, I made a small payment, and then I started being consistent with a $300 payment a week, roundabout. As you can see, I stayed around that number, and as I worked more hours at my job, I was paying more and more. Now, you'll see here how my student loan is broken up. It's broken up into 10 separate loans. Right now it's showing 0% interest, but they all have different interest rates. And I like to take the Dave Ramsey approach, the debt snowball method. So I will go for the smallest loan possible and just throw my chunks of money at that and bring it down. Currently, I'm working on this $1,400 one, and I hope to have that paid off in the next couple weeks. And then I will be on to the next one, which is this one right here, the $2,315.89. But enough about my debts. Let's talk about how you can be better with yours. Now, the first thing I will always tell anyone I talk to about personal finance is you need to set a budget. You need to see where your money is going, and you need to see what you're spending it on, because once you put it on paper and you see, wow, I'm spending $150 on fast food every week, or you're seeing that you're going to Starbucks 2 times a day or even every day, and you're spending $35 on Starbucks a week, it adds up very quickly. So budgeting allows you to see where your money is going and also to make corrective actions for where you want your money to go. The next thing I would say is always pay above the minimum. Now, I showed you where I was not paying above the minimum and I was making very little progress. I even know someone who was paying above the minimum, but because it was a private loan, they were actually in more debt after a year than the original loan amount they took out. So paying above the minimum and really going after that student loan debt is a big priority. And most importantly, I would say be consistent. However you run your finances, whether you get paid every week like I do, or whether you get paid bi-weekly, twice a month, whatever, you need to set aside money each paycheck to throw at your loan. You need to make sure you're staying consistent with your plan, and that's the best way to bring that number down. If you're watching this and you are not yet in college, or you're currently in college, either way, here's a few things you can do to avoid more student loan debt than you need. You can start saving. If you're working a job, start saving and make sure you're putting aside money for your books, for your tuition, anything along those lines. Scholarships are very important. You should be applying for every scholarship you can find. Just because you can make money right now with a job doesn't mean you're going to outmake the money you could have made with a scholarship. There are scholarships for everything from if you have blue eyes, or if you have blonde hair, or if you had red hair, if you played a sport. Look into scholarships, because you're not going to make more money at a job than a scholarship will give you, especially if you're putting all your time and effort into it. And lastly, I want to caution you against a mistake I made. Go to community college. I thought I was too good for the community college by me. I wanted to avoid it at all costs, but in the grand scheme of things, looking back on it now, and hindsight is 2020, but I would have saved probably half my student loan if I went to community college first. It's not a bad thing to go to community college and save money and also figure out what you want to do, because you may think you know what you want to do, but you're not quite there yet. And finally, I just want you to stay positive. No matter what situation you're in and what is going on in your life, you will get through it, and student loan debt, or any debt in that matter, is not an exception. It may seem like it's an insurmountable feat, but you will be able to get through this as long as you put pen to paper, write a plan, and set a goal for when you want to be out of this debt. It's a very difficult journey, but you'll be able to get there. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I would appreciate it if you dropped a like down below, subscribed. You can hit me up on Twitter, it's FinanceCJ, and have a good night.